How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over the rest of the Ascendancy classes that have all been finally revealed through sheer force of the community. I guess people willing to break their NDA and risk getting themselves banned, but I guess with their loss is our gain. So you can see here the GGG basically posted that they were going to kind of try to avoid releasing these, but since they came out, everyone's welcome to talk about them. And they kind of confirmed that these leaks that we are getting are indeed real. So let's go ahead and jump over them. First things first, we have the Stormweaver here, which again, this is the Elementalist version of the class for PoE 2. We have this Tempest Caller, grants skill Elemental Storm. They did showcase this in the reveal. Triggers Elemental Storm on critical hit with spells. Then we have Strike Twice. We've already showed this one before as well, where targets can be affected by 2 of your shocks at the same time, with 50% less shock duration. Shaper of Storms, which makes everything shock. That's no surprise. These are old. Here, then we have Rain Dancer, which appears to be new, which Elemental Storms have 150% more cooldown recovery rate. And this is the Elemental Storm spell here. So this is level 31. 12 to 19 physical damage, 100% of physical damage converted to fire, cold, or lightning damage. Can never crit. Deals damage every 0.25 seconds. So with 150% CDR, that's every 0.1 seconds. And then storm radius, 1.8 meters. Storm duration is 5 seconds. Do these fire outside of the radius? Is going to be the real big question to these, or if they just are these like little storms that float around like they're like Vol versions of Blade Vortex. Yeah, that's interesting. So they create a stationary storm at a target location for a duration based on the highest elemental damage type of that hit. So they just spawn on top of things and stay there, it looks like. Okay, that's kind of cool if you're actually keeping things still. I think, these might not be the best thing in the world, right? Because of the fact that how mobile we have to be. So you're going to be kind of recommended to make sure you're basically kind of spinning in a circle around targets repeatedly to ensure that you're keeping them in these. So given the time to kill is a little bit higher now than it would be prior. It might be good, right? It just does mean that you're going to have to kind of warp your gameplay around them a little bit in order to make them really work. Probably how you want to. So there's always that. 5 is you have Arcane Surge. I'm curious if this is Arcane Surge pre-nerf Arcane Surge that still has 20% more damage on it, or if this is just the mana recovery Arcane Surge without the extra damage on it that you get from Hierophant. I guess that's a big giant question mark. That may be very good. It might not be that good. It really depends kind of on what they give us here, right? So we have increased effect of Arcane Surge on you for 15 maximum mana. Leans in a bit to the really big mind over matter kind of things that people are wanting to do, which is could be nice. Then we have Heart of the Storm here, which is 40% of elemental damage taken recouped as energy shield. That's over here by itself. This Constant Gale and Force of Will are all both over here together. So that's the mana synergy side of things. 2 and 3 together, that's the shock. And then 9 and 10 here. We have, 8 here is exposure you inflict lowers affected resistances by an additional 20%. That's pretty big. I think there is exposure 10 or 15% right now. So more than double. That seems really, really strong. Given how hard it is to get that nowadays. Then we have this here. What is this? Targets can be affected by 2 of your chills at the same time. Your chills can reduce action speed by up to a maximum of 35%. 25% less magnitude of chill you inflict. So it makes it harder to chill, but each chill can reduce their action speed by 35%, so you can get up to 70% reduced action speed, it looks like then. So you can get them slower, much, much slower. It's just going to take longer to get them there. But this obviously helps with it, right? Shaper of Winter, all damage from hits contributes to chill magnitude. That's pretty strong. Given that the way that freezing already works, going over your just basically repeatedly hitting things with cold damage causes this like freeze buildup, right? All damage contributing to chill should make it to where you freeze more often, if I'm thinking or understanding this correctly. So that looks really good. I mean, Stormweaver is looking like she's going to be in a good place. Going to be really good. Whether you want to play Lightning version or the cold version, or even just a mix of both, it seems like she'll have some good potential there. Let's move on to the next one here. So we have Chronomancer, the big giant question mark that we've had here. We have Temporal Rift, so that works exactly like PoE 1. Time Snap, which resets cooldowns. Time Freeze. Now and Again, which is right here on the way to Time Snap. Skills have a 33% chance to not consume a cooldown when used. Okay. Yeah, that's a... could be good. Time Snap here. Spell. Cooldown 36 seconds. This makes me feel like this person has CDR already on. Already equipped. Would that be coming down from 45 seconds? What is 36.8 divided by 45? Is that 19% CDR or 36.8 from 60? 61... So, yeah, they're either running like 38, 39% CDR or 18% CDR in order to get this down. It sucks that this has a cooldown or cast time on it still. Slightly annoying. Or I wonder if they just has like a cooldown recovery support or something on this as well. That's a really long cooldown though, like a minute. Yeah, it does work with all other skills though, so that's good. So the implications for using this with either, I guess we still don't know if it's going to affect all charges. Is this going to reset the cooldowns up to max charges again? This does mean you could actually make it still pretty good with grenade skills, because the idea being that you use this with something like, again, cluster grenade or explosive grenade, where you have explosive grenade here with your 3 uses, and you're using this and you use something to double the uses on it, as well as give it +1 uses already from the tree. I mean, even honestly, just the if you're using it with cluster grenade, right? With cluster grenade, you have you'll have 2 charges of it already because of the point on the tree, and then you have your you get your 3rd and 4th charges with the second wind support here to give it twice as many cooldown uses, so that will bring it up to 4. And then again, you can use this with Hourglass and basically rely on purely on either getting the resets to where it doesn't use a cooldown, the 33% chance at the time, or just use it with banking on always just time snapping to get all of your charges back. So I think that's realistically going to be a potential gameplay for this. Unfortunately, there isn't really that many spells to take advantage of the thing. You know, basically you're banking on time snap resetting, like time freeze. Why is time freeze cooldown so long? That's crazy. So maybe this is with no CDR then. If this, or this is this with CDR and this is 75 seconds. Oh, I guess this is a good math problem for us here, right? 61 divided by 75 is in line with them having 18% CDR. Probably from small nodes, because let's see. Unless this is 61 divided by 90. Nah, so the 2 that line up here for the numbers are these ones, right? This 19%-ish CDR would be the one that lines up for both, for the cast times. So the cast time on time snap is probably 45 seconds, and the cast time for time freeze is probably 75 before any cooldown. Time freeze duration is 3 seconds. Duration is halved for each time they've been time frozen in the past 30 seconds. I guess this is so you just don't end up with a party of chronos that are just like time freezing everything on repeat with time snap and stuff, right? You can support these as well. Supporting Time Snap is probably the one to support, rather, with Second Wind. Not... You support Time Snap with Second Wind rather than supporting something else. Instead, I think, probably. I don't know. I guess it might just be better to double up the other thing instead. So, yeah, let's look at the rest of these nodes there before we get too distracted on this. Quicksand Hourglass every 12 seconds. Gain 50% more cast speed for 4 seconds. I mean, it might feel good, but what happens when you get this 4 seconds when you're just purely on a boss phase where you're not really have zero chance to do any damage output and you're basically just forced to run around and waste it? That's going to feel kind of bad. The next thing we have here is Circular Heartbeat, which is 30% of damage taken is recouped as life. This one I could see being a little... This is actually really good. And I guess if you're using this, Circular Heartbeat will be able to take effect when you are also using Temporal Rift, right? So you'll be able to take all this damage. You'll start this 4 seconds of recoup, and then you'll be able to basically snap yourself backwards to get yourself healed already back up from that, and then you'll kind of have this like rolling recovery that's still going on, which would be really nice. So that'll be really cool. Same here with this again. The recoup effects occur instead over 4 seconds. I'm curious if they're longer than by default. I thought they were already 4 seconds. I wonder if they've been extended to 6 or 8 seconds or something in PoE 2. We'll have to see, I guess. Enemies in your presence are slowed by 20%. Where are these nodes at? Oh, here in the middle. 6 and 7 are together. Circular Heartbeat and Rapid River. I'm curious to see what this is going to be. You don't really get any of this stuff. If you go for Time Freeze and Time Snap, you go along the outside, which means you get Temporal Rift and you get Now and Again, which is still really good. The other nodes, though, probably unlikely anyone's going to end up wanting to take those over just taking Time Snap and Time Freeze. But I guess early on, before you have all 8 of your points, you might end up wanting to spec in one of these other ones. Just to kind of get that. Either, again, the damage recouped as life will probably feel good early on, just to ensure extra defenses. So that's pretty nice. What are this critical chance? Oh, this is Infernalist stuff here. So we have critical chance. Oh, this is a small node here. Bringer of Flame, while not on low life. Low Infernal Flame, all damage from you and your Ascendants contributes to Ignite, Chance, and Magnitude. Oh, let's look at Demon Form here before we even... It helps with the context of everything else. So Demon Form is a shapeshift. The cooldown time is 20 seconds. We already saw that in the video before. 16% increased cast speed while in Demon Form. +4 to level of all spell skills while in Demon Form. 10% increased spell damage per Demon Flame. So it's not multiplicative damage. And then lose 1% of life per second per Demon Flame. And then that, I believe, is not mitigatable at all. So you just basically need the regen to out-regen that. I wonder if this just... If this only affects life, there might be ways to basically get some flat life regen and do the types of things where people were doing before with, I don't remember what it was. They're doing something where you basically just purposely lower yourself to just really, you just leave yourself at really low life or convert some of your life over to energy shield, things like that, or sources to basically leave yourself with a really low life pool, but a high enough life recovery per second, and then just stacking really high ES, things like that. So you still have, you're still defended against the one-shots, but you can sustain demon form stuff for a really, really long time. That's going to be interesting here. So another small spell damage node. We have the demon form node here. Spell damage, maximum 10 demon flame. So this will make it to where you'll be able to cap out. You'll basically be able to sustain this without having to drop the form. You're basically just stuck at that 10% or level 10, right? So you're going to be +4 to level of all spells, 16% increased cast speed, which is not as much as they made it seem like it was going to be. That's like, I thought it was going to scale as you get more stacks of the thing, but maybe cast speed's much harder to get in this than I thought. So 100% increased spell damage, plus 4 to level of all spells, which is honestly kind of massive. And then 16% increased cast speed at the cost of basically 10% life per second. If you are going to use this, you're probably going to want to use it with the maximum 10 demon flame nodes here, just to maintain and kind of keep it up. The downside of this is you do unequip your weapons when you do that. So there is the trade-off there. I'm curious if that kind of is going to hurt the desire to want to play demon form, right? So demon form is basically giving you a staff, right? That is plus 4 to all spells, 16% increased cast speed, and 100% increased spell damage. If you are running with at the cost of 4 ascendancy points. So eventually you're going to outscale demon form. You're going to just end up having a weapon that's going to be better than this. We already saw like a level 3 weapon that was already plus 2 to all cold spells or whatever, right? So because of that, I don't know how good this will actually feel if you lose the stats from your weapon. If you unequip them but you're still getting the stats from them, we'll see. But I do know that when they showcased it in the video, you were unequipping your weapons, which caused you to lose your spirit, which caused the minions to despawn, which is why it seemed like your minions were forced to despawn when you use your demon form. So there's going to be a trade-off there. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think it's going to be worse than it seems at first because of the weapon interactions. So we'll just have to see, I guess. Some extra max life here. We have Altered Flesh, 20% of cold damage taken as fire, lightning damage, everything is fire, and then physical taken as chaos, which again, still good. We're going to have resistances, right? It's easier to get the res than it is to get the armor probably on this character. So that's good. Where is these? Oh, this one doesn't say where the nodes are, unfortunately. I think we can infer them based off of what we've already seen rather. We have Baydat's Hand here, reserve 25% of life. You get plus 1 max ES per 4 max life. Okay. That seems, well, I guess if you're going to do what I'm talking about, where you're leaning into lower life and higher ES, that's not really as good. If it converted 25% of life to energy shield, that would be better. But maybe that's too strong, so that's why they didn't do it. So, I don't know how I feel about this. It still seems like, again, back to the same. Doesn't quite seem like enough. Become ignited when you deal a critical hit, taking 15% of your life in ES as fire damage per second. So if you make yourself immune to ignite, it's just 30% more crit damage. Or if you just have like a flask for ignite. That seems fine. Can't you use that other thing that... I thought there's the thing that makes you take less ignite damage or less dot damage if you haven't been dotted recently or whatever it is. We'll have to see. Reserve 25% of life, plus 1 max spirit per 25 max life. So what would we expect a character like this to have? Like 4k, 5k life? At 4,000 life, we're looking at 160 spirit. So that's like another 2, maybe 2, like trigger skills. I mean, I think these like reserving your life to get extra stuff is more probably gonna be for the people using this for minions, right? An extra 160 spirit for a minion build is gonna be a lot stronger, I think, probably than a build just trying to use them for more trigger spells. So we'll have to see here. Oh, this is the third one. So that's all 3 of these right here. Reserve 25% of life, plus 1 max mana per 6 life. Yeah, I guess I don't know how that... I guess if you have enough life, this will even be worth it for like MOM or something like that. It's kind of weird though. Not sure how I feel about that. We still have the Infernal Hound here, which I still think is going to be like the showcase of the character itself. The interactions you can get with that, and then also the interactions with Pyromantic Pact. There's a lot of like cool interactions again for the bonuses for keeping it high, or the bonuses for, again, what you're going to be able to get by just cycling this. You effectively have infinite mana while you're using this, right? So, yeah, you do take some damage if you don't have fire res. That's your cost of having infinite mana, but infinite mana is really strong in a game where they said they're explicitly making it extremely hard to have mana recovery on spellcasters. So that I think is going to end up being really, really strong. While on high on Infernal Flame, you and your allies and presence gain 20% of damage as fire damage. That means using this frequently, right? Yeah, you gain Infernal Flame instead of spending mana for skills. So this might be the easiest. I think it's going to be more of just you're going to have a cycling 20% damage, and you're just going to deal with repeatedly hitting yourself and be running around with like 90% fire res is kind of the plan of what I'm going to try to get. Right, we're going to try to anoint the fire resistance node and just basically lean into playing our self-hitting build. I think is going to be the basis for that. We have the the Blood Mage here. We have Sanguimancy still. You start with this. You gain life remnants. There's a better picture of this down here. Let me find it. Here. There, down here. So we have Open Sores here, which is your curses have infinite duration. Curses are pretty good in this. Hexes and curses are completely separate, so you do get to have both. So that's going to be a lot better. We have Grasping Wounds here. 25% of life loss from damaging hits is lost over 4 seconds instead. So it's like a Petrified Blood, a little bit of Petrified Blood mechanic here. Make you a little bit harder to kill. Vitality Siphon, 10% of spell damage leached as life. So that still exists. You are spending life in order to do this, but again, you use blood magic. It does remove the mana cost without doubling things, so that'll be pretty strong. Gain energy shield from equipped body armor is extra max life. Depending if there's actually enough sources of increased life around, that could be really strong. I know they did say they kind of went on a purge and basically tried to remove all the percent max life they could from the tree. Not all of it, but a lot of it, right? And before in PoE, it's like, well, go get 200% increased max life from the tree somewhere. Nowadays, I don't think that's a thing. So the sources of flat life are going to be higher to compensate for that. Like, again, this, for example, right? So if we're looking at like a 600 ES body armor, if we're looking at like PoE 1 numbers, right? Like a generic, like decent chest. I'm not talking about like super endgame stuff. 600 ES, converting this to 600 life is nice. I mean, you still get to have both. You don't trade off the ES, so that's going to be good, but it's not like you're adding like thousands of life either, because the percent of increased max life might not be as high as we'd expect. Base critical hit chance for spells is 15%. This is pretty big. That's going to be pretty good damage-wise, right? I mean, the character, he doesn't look, or she doesn't look super flashy by any stretch, but it's just a lot of damage, right? You're just a standard old blood mage, nothing flashy. You're just you're going to have decent defense and sustain and some high crit chance, and it's the old like boring but consistent, I guess. 10% of damage is extra physical damage. Elemental damage can inflict bleeding. I'll be honest, I don't know how. I haven't paid too much attention to the ailment stuff in regards to this, so I mean, it seems good, right? Everything's going to be able to bleed. I don't know if it means it's going to be worth fully leaning into bleed on these characters, but I think just leaning into the hit part of being a spellcaster with a lot of leech and a lot of life and blood mage or blood magic and just being a little hard to kill might just be enough. Yeah, so we're going to have to see with that. And we got Gore Spike here, which is increased critical to strike damage bonus per 20 life. So again, leaning into the theme again. You're going to have 100% crit, basically. You're going to be able to get really high crit damage, and you're going to stack a ton of life. So, yeah, I'd be curious. I won't be surprised if people end up finding some version of this that's basically the version of, like, the Wrathpith Miner that people have been running to use Sanctum for the last, like, 5 leagues. So, Jonathan did talk about life remnants allow you to overheal your life by double as well. So that is kind of big. The unfortunate thing is that life remnants spawn when killing an enemy only. They don't spawn on... oh, never mind. They do actually spawn now. They spawn when critically hitting a target as well. So you'll be able to spawn one of these per second on a boss as well. That's actually going to be really strong, I think. That was the big question mark before, was that you weren't going to be able to get these on bosses, so it was going to feel kind of bad. But being able to turn your character that's at 4 or 5k life into 10k life, sustain, that could be pretty good. Yeah, that's actually really nice. Again, just strong, consistent class. It's not going to be anything flashy, right? It's just going to be high crit, high life class that kind of just leans into a lot of recovery, a lot of sustain, whatever. You're going to have to be dodge rolling and picking up your orbs all the time, but if you enjoy that Draven gameplay, you can go and do that. Let's go and jump into the next one here. We have the Gemling Legionnaire. We have a +1 to level of all skills here. 10% quality of all skills, so you get this going into... So you're going to get 10% quality and +1 to level of everything. 3 additional skill slots. Inherent bonuses from everything is doubled for all your stats. 30% less cost of skills. Skill gems have a higher attribute cost. I guess if you really have mana issues, that might come into play, but I don't know about that. Gem studded here. What is this behind here? Gem studded is behind adaptive capability here. You can use 2 copies of the same support gem in different skills. That's going to be really strong, right? It's especially for this character who's probably going to be leaning into crossbows like everything else, or grenades rather. Being able to use multiple projectile supports is going to be big. That's going to be really hard to come by again. It's a really strong gem, and being able to have multiple of it will be really strong. Attribute requirements of gems can be satisfied by your highest attribute. That's also pretty nice. It means you can just basically go full all in on, again, one thing, right? If you want to go all in on strength, you can do that now, instead of having to worry about picking up everything, since you're going to be wanting to use a lot of support gems of different colors in order to get your max res. You don't need to worry about that as much, I think. Oh, I guess these are completely different paths. This leans into the inherent bonuses are doubled. I guess if this is going to be big for stat stacking, this is the stat stacking character. For some reason, I almost convinced myself there was another line that connected these two. It's just the image, though. Yeah, I mean, the max cold res is going to be like really strong on this character, or the max res period. They did already nerf this from the reveal. They showed it before it was 3, but then they realized I think people were going to be getting like at +3 skill slots, you can effectively get up to, it'd be like 14 or 15 skill slots, depending if you're dual wielding or not, or with having weapon skills. So that's a lot of gems. 14 times 5, that would be... So if you're looking at 11 times 5, you're still at 55 supports. So you're still looking at a 14% max res split however you choose. Most likely you'll end up with a lot of greens, right? So you're going to end up with a lot more lightning res just because of the supports for whatever you're playing, which is most likely going to be crossbow based. But yeah, so it's going to be a good character. Nothing flashy really, right? Just good solid defenses, but you're just leaning and relying purely on your gear and your skills, right? There's no special stuff about it. No flashy Infernal Hound or these ancestral spirits or things like this that you're getting from Warbringer. So Warbringer here, we got Jade Heritage. They showcased this in the video. Enhance your case in Jade, or encase yourself in Jade. It didn't look like you could drop this at all. You're just basically like stuck there until it actually breaks. Then we have Answered Call. Same thing, ancestral spirits whenever you summon a totem. So it looks like it's just additional damage for the totems for the most part. We got Warcaller's Bellow, which is corpses in your presence explode when you Warcry. And then we have Great Wolf's Howl, which ignores Warcry cooldowns. That's probably going to be big. I know there's not that many Warcries in the game right now because a lot of them appear to be tied to Druid. But there is Corrupting Cry. That's probably going to be the one to lean into the most right now if you're going to do this ignore Warcry cooldowns and just use that as kind of like your main skill. Yeah, what to see. So we have Anvil's Weight here. Break armor equal to 10% of the hit damage. Breaking armor seems like it's pretty good. It does have some combo synergies with Sunder and other things. 20% of damage from hits is taken from your nearest totem's life before you. Again, the cost of summoning more than one totem is extremely high, so I don't know how relevant that's going to be. But, I mean, still good. You'll probably have a totem up, presuming the totem has enough life to actually survive being hit a couple times. This might be really good. Can block damage from all hits while shield is not raised. Does that... I'm curious if this means that you can block... I guess this will be based off of your actual block. You can block everything, including normally unblockable attacks. That's what it makes it sound like. Pretty sure that means you can block unblockable attacks, but not using the shield raised mode, right? You're allowed to do it, but you're not allowed to do it at 100% chance. Like, you can do it at whatever your block chance is going to be, which is, you know, all the nodes on the tree are additive now, where instead they were just giving like +3 to block chance. Now they give 12% increase, so it's based off of the block chance on your shield, which this next node here, oh, that's not even the last node. You can break enemy armor to below 0. I actually saw a node for this already somewhere over here for him that is missing from here, which is this node. Where did it go? Find the node right here. Renly's training. Gain 50% base chance to block from equipped shield instead of the shield's value. This is going to be really big. If you don't know, block in PoE 2 now works for block or for attack block and spell block. So being at 50% base chance instead of starting at like the 25% chance that a shield normally has means now in order to get 75% block, all block, right? 75% attack block and spell block now only requires you to get 50% block chance on the tree instead of like the normal like 300% or whatever people are normally having to get now. Right, so if we actually look at block here, it's actually quite a bit of it. So let's hide the unidentified and unselected here, or the highlight keystone. So we have some block here, right? 20 life when you block, 12% increased chance to block here, 12% increased chance to block here, 12% here, and then what is this? Oh, that's the lay siege thing here. 5% increase on each one of these. I presume all 5 of these are probably that. So again, you need to get to 50% total, which looks like these small wheels here. What is this? It's going to be a... that's 27 here, and then you should be getting 27 again here, and you're done. So you need to grab 2 of these 3 wheels here in order to... Or you'll basically want to grab 2 wheels plus this damaging wheel here. This 75% increased damage will be good. Yeah, that's going to be the strongest part of this character for sure. Leaning into that again, and then just leaning into something else for the offenses, Corrupting Cry, something like that. But that's your, you know, easy 75-75 block on everything will be really, really strong. So yeah, I'm liking what we're seeing with Warbringer. It's they're going to have a very good defensive potential here for this. So that's pretty exciting. So the Titan here, almost everything was already shown before in the prior stuff. But let's go over the 2 extra nodes we have here, which is Hulking Form. 50% increased effect of small passive skills. That seems kind of ridiculously strong. I don't know if this is... Did they... I mean... It can't just mean the ones on the tree are here, but there's a lot of small passive nodes out there. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Oh, I'm gonna need to close these other windows here. Sorry, 1 second. This thing's breaking on me. Here, so all ascendancies. One of these other images I opened up kind of broke that. No. So then we have this Hulking Form here and Mysterious Lineage, which is 20% more max life. I believe this 50% increase of small or effect of small passive skills is behind the 20 inventory slots. So I have a video that's coming out, I believe, tonight already for this, or tomorrow, or rather maybe 12 hours after this one, going over the Titan before we knew about the reveal. So, yeah, we'll have to do something about that. But there's a lot of small nodes, right? I mean, having 50% increased effect on all of them adds up very, very quickly. The majority of what you're going to be taking is small nodes. That includes all your attribute nodes, everything else. So that's going to be pretty big. That seems like very, very strong. I guess you do have to put 4 points in order to get it, but still, that's like a built-in Adorned jewel. So yeah, that one is very enticing, extremely strong. Really looking forward to that. That seems like it will have some very, very high build potential here. So the new stuff for the Invoker, we got Lead Me Through Grace here. Gain 1 spirit for every 6 ES on body armor, 1 spirit for every 15 evasion rating on equipped body armor. Cannot gain spirit from equipment, so I guess that means you can't get it from your weapons, which if you're using a quarterstaff, you're not really getting it anyways. What does this mean? So it looks like if we're looking at like a standard like PoE 1 chest here, we're looking at like 133, like a 2k evasion, 600 ES chest, something like that. That's going to end up being like 230, 250 spirit. From that, if you still have a base amount of spirit that we don't know about, then that should be really good. That seems like it could be a nice amount of spirit there. Presuming you can even still get chests like this. I don't know about how these stats work on anything. From PoE 1 to PoE 2. So we don't really know how the crafting works or what the damage numbers look like. But if it's anything like PoE 1 numbers, then that will be very, very strong. Evasion rating also grants physical damage reduction. Could be really good. I'm curious how this works. They mean evasion chance? If it's based off of your evasion chance, then I feel like you're still going to be able to get this high enough to basically have 75% physical damage reduction. Pretty good in this, right? Meta skills gain 35% more energy. So for your triggers, if you want to be playing trigger character, that could be pretty strong. A lot of the triggers seem like they still had 1 second cooldown, so I don't know how strong that's going to be or not, or if you're going to be like wasting getting too much energy, but just have to play it and kind of see how it feels. Critical hits ignore non-negative enemy monster elemental resistances. That's a buff to the version on from PoE 1 that's on Inquisitor, right? It only ignores them if it's higher than 0, instead of nerfing you if you have their resistances pushed into negatives already. So that's pretty nice. And then we have Elemental Expression here. Trigger Elemental Expression on melee critical hit. Don't know what this is. Presume it's just some sort of little like melee elemental damage explosion thing that we don't have the damage numbers for, but I'm sure it's pretty strong. We have the Chayula Monk here. Grant skill into the breach. Not sure what this is. I don't think we have. We might have screenshots of it in this. We'll see. Effects and durations of Flames of Chayula on you are double. I don't know what this is. We have the Reality Rending, which is the Trickster node here. A chance to gain extra damage with hits as extra chaos damage here. So overall, this should be, what is this, 7% more plus, it's like 21% more overall, right? Yeah. So it's 23% divided by 4, roughly. It's like, yeah, 7, 7, and 7. About 20% extra chaos damage on this, using all their prime number stuff that they said they like to do for chaos stuff, which is kind of fun. 10% max chaos res, we've already seen this one before. Mana Leech is instant, we've seen this one before. Mana Leech effects, yes. This is like all the theory crafting where people are saying that Chayula Monk is like the most OP character ever. Then we have the Embrace the Darkness stuff. None of this stuff is new. Reduced Darkness, Reservation Duration. So this does allow you to basically maintain your extra damage buff more. Yeah, how you get a lot of unreserved darkness is going to be the big question still. I'm curious if this Into the Breach stuff has anything to do with it, allowing you to get higher darkness, because if you're just at base maximum darkness and there isn't really good ways to increase this, then at 5% more damage is not really the best thing in the world, or not that flashy. So and then let's go to PoE 2DB for the Pathfinder and the Deadeye. So for Pathfinder here, we have Contagious Contamination. Most damaging poison on enemies you kill is spread to other enemies within 1.5 meters. Small poison prolif, not like too crazy. Overwhelming Toxicity, double the number of poisons you can inflict on enemies. Jonathan did confirm, I believe, the baseline for poison is 2. He said it in a video. I didn't know that. I think everyone's been presuming it's been 1. But he did mention 2 poisons on an enemy. I don't know if he misspoke and he presumed that everyone just already takes stacking toxins. But if they don't, then that does mean with stacking toxins, you're already getting up to 3 now. And then there's 1 on support, I believe, as well. So that's up to 3 here. There's a 4th one here. And then I believe I want to say there's 1 here for poison as well. Bursting Plague, nope, that's not the one. There's 4. This is not, nope. Gas Grenade, nope. Nope, this is just more spread. Multi-poison. So this can get you up to 5, right? So you can get 5, and if you're running with Pathfinder, you can get up to 10. 10, presuming you're using your 1 skill that has multiple poison on it. The duration is going to take a fat hit for this. But 10 poisons on there could be good. I'm not sure going to be the best way to get all these poisons on there, but and actually maintain them on there with all the stacking less poison duration and poison stuff that you have. But I'm sure there's some build potential there. 30% less movement speed penalty while using skills while moving. This will make using a bow feel significantly better while you're actually using your skills, right? Because you're not even going to basically feel the movement speed penalty for firing at all, which will be really nice. This brew concoction, it's really going to come down to how good these concoctions are. They're going to have to do some serious damage or have some like guaranteed status effects to make them feel really good, I think. Until we actually get our hands on them, it's really hard to know. Relentless Pursuit, being immune to slows, does make it easier for you to never get caught again. I don't know if this, I hope this is just a travel node to something that's more enticing, because realistically you're probably not going to care to get that. Like, if it's like off by itself, it's not really going to be something you want. Flash charges gained or doubled. I presume this leads to brewed concoction here. And then I presume these like poison things lead to each other, and these slows here, Relentless Pursuit and Running Assault, probably lead to each other as well. Gain 5 passive skill points. So you just get 5 points on the tree, I guess. Life flask effects are not removed when unreserved life is filled. Life flask effects do not queue. Okay, so you can't queue your life flask, but it doesn't. You get overflow on your life. That could be good. I mean, the sustain of just having a really good life flask, that you're getting extra charges. Hopefully, there is a way to get some charges over time, over the fight. If you do, then that will be some nice sustain. The extra skill points, I mean, it's okay, I guess. It feels like a kind of a cop-out where you're like, we don't really know what to give this class, but I mean, it's kind of cool, I suppose. Then the other one we have here is Deadeye. Deadeye has 30% chance to gain frenzy charges. You instead gain your max frenzy charges. You can apply an additional mark. You have no accuracy penalty at distance. Skills fire an additional proj. This one's really strong, given again you can't use multi-proj on everything. You can have it on 1 skill, so having multiple skills with endless munitions will make it feel way better, like for grenades, right? Mainly for grenades when you look at this stuff, right? It's for the grenade skills, you're effectively doubling your damage on everything just with endless munitions. Because of that, we have Gathering Winds here for gain tailwind on skill use, lose all tailwind when hit. Well, don't get hit. I'm sure it'll be good. I'm curious how this is going to work with like barrage skills. If each projectile from the barrage will count as another use of the skill consecutively, or if it's going to be just on each individual skill. So that'll be interesting to know. We got projectiles gain damage as they travel further, dealing 20% more. So point blank is you're gonna want to use the point blank version if you're playing this for grenades, which again feels like going to be like the strongest projectile builds appear to be built around the grenades because they're effectively like mines or traps from PoE. So they seem like they're going to be pretty strong. Benefits from consuming frenzy charges for your skills have 50% chance to be doubled. So there's quite a few frenzy charge interactions. Rain of Arrows seems to have like the best one out of it. Here, where it already fires a lot of arrows and fires 100% more arrows if a frenzy charge was consumed. Fires 50% more arrows per frenzy charge consumed. So using this with the chance to make the benefits from frenzy charges from your skill have a chance to be doubled. If you already have 3 frenzy charges and it considers you to have done 6, all of a sudden you're getting a ton of arrows from this. There's going to be some sort of math or calculation that determines exactly how many of these hit your target. It's probably like 13 or like, maybe 20% of them or something are going to hit every single target. That has the potential to be really, really good very, very quickly. There's some support, I believe, for this as well. So we have Sniper's Mark, which the next critical hit the target receives consumes the mark to deal extra damage and grant you a frenzy charge. So you'll probably want to trigger this in some way because of the cooldown, things like that. Generating your frenzy charges will be the hardest thing on this build. Having Sniper Mark on some sort of cast loop to where it's basically ensure that it's getting casted without you having to actually manually cast it will be nice. But what's this one? Spiral Volley. Loads your bow with the volley of enchanted arrows that fires them in a circle as you spin forward, firing directly at enemies as possible. Consumes friendly charges to cause arrows to deal more damage and chain. 15 arrows. I'm kind of curious what this means. Is this the one where I saw some video, I think, in the Extra Life video where he was like firing arrows into the air and they kind of looked like they were like aiming towards people? It's kind of cool. Chains once per frenzy charge consumed. That doesn't seem anywhere near as enticing as firing like hundreds and hundreds of arrows with Rain of Arrows. And then buff empowers your next bow attack to repeat an additional time plus an additional time per frenzy charge consumed. 1500% of repeated skills attack time is added to the skill's cooldown to a maximum of 30 seconds. So I guess, barrage, you can set up a crazy barrage here with your frenzy charges, I guess. There's the potential, like these numbers look massive on the Deadeye. It seems like you're going to be able to basically like you're going to be doing this like massive like charge up of getting all of your frenzy charges ready, and then you're just going to unload something that's going to like one shot a boss. So that'll be kind of interesting and I guess fun. This is going to be your way to get your frenzy charges here. Combat Frenzy. We got gain a frenzy charge when you freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. No more than once every 6.3 seconds. I'm curious if this will be affected by CDR. It's not a cooldown, I think, because it says no more than once. It's not like a cooldown based thing. Probably can't, but you'll just have this on, right? This will be one of your main ways to get frenzy charges, but that seems like it'll be pretty good. So the last things we have here is Wind Ward. Less damage taken per tailwind. I think more so people are going to want to be leaning into again the point blank, the extra projectile, the frenzy charges thing, and the frenzy charges stuff, right? So these are going to be, if you're 8 points, if it's possible to get all 8 of these, right? Hopefully you can. I think endless munitions and projectile proxy spec was on the same thing, but I'd have to go back and see if the picture still exists somewhere. So yeah, all in all, pretty exciting stuff. It doesn't make my job any easier of trying to decide what I want to play. I'm still kind of leaning towards Infernalist first, I think, just because there's a handful of different builds that you can play on them without being like, oh, if I play this, I have to go all in like on one specific thing. What if I don't like that thing, right? With Infernalist, I can play as a caster build, or I can play as a minion build, or I can lean into a bunch of different things. So I'm going to want to try all those out and then definitely move on to some other stuff. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. And other than that, see you in the next one.